Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Souza, Chief Marketing Officer with CareerArc, and I'm excited to welcome you to the next session of our EMBARC Talent Talks, Hiring Millennials and Gen Z During the Pandemic and Beyond, with Nirali Matalia, Vice President of Operations and People at Saama Technologies. Nirali actually has a great story. In the past year, she's helped Saama's workforce grow from 1,100 to 1,500 employees, and 50% of those are millennials and Gen Z. So in this session, you'll hear some actionable data-backed strategies for hiring these types of candidates. I encourage you to submit your questions via the Q&A tab. You'll see it just to the right side of your screen there. We're going to answer questions as we go, as well as at the end, so please send them in as you have them. And also, you'll see the little happy face emoji at the bottom center of your screen there. Please do use the emojis to give the speakers feedback as we go. It's always helpful and definitely a lot more fun when the speaker can see the audience reaction, what things are really resonating. With that, I'm very happy to present our next speaker, Nirali. Nirali is passionate and dedicated people, culture, and change leader who believes in leading by example. She has successfully reinvented HR at Saama Technologies to build a high-touch culture of progressive HR that's actively engaged with employees for career coaching and with a day-to-day growth-conducive work environment. So with that, Nirali, I will let you take it away.
Hey, thank you so much, Linda. That was a wonderful introduction, and I'm really actually humbled and very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to all of you at CareerArc for providing this wonderful platform to share my story, share my experience, and learn from each other. As Linda mentions, everybody, hi, and this is something I'm hereby come here to present our story. At the same time, I'll be equally interested to hear your feedback, your side of the story. So please make it as participative as possible. Feel free to let me know any questions, any comments, as Linda suggested by the chat box, and let's make it. I know we are all into this new norm of having this session not live and doing through the Zoom. This is our air meet. This has become the new normal. So let's make it as interactive as possible. And I would love to hear. Yeah, I'm equally excited to learn from each of you here. So let's get it going, folks. Okay. All right. Let me bring my slides, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know once you are able to.
We don't see it yet.
Yeah, I think it's like still showing a buffer. It's coming up now on my side. How about you guys?
And we see it.
Okay, yes. Awesome. Sounds good. Yes. Yeah, sorry about the delay. Alrighty. So yeah, as Linda mentioned earlier, this is my today's story is about what we did or what kind of foundation we built in order to have this make not just like making sure that we hire the right candidate, also making sure that we provide them the right opportunity to grow and thrive, and how we started the whole journey and what kind of pre-work was done before that. I would like to share that with you. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about in today's presentation. I'll be talking about mainly three things. The number one thing is about creating the right culture. We believe at Saama, we believe that that is one of the most important core, that unless we have a right, robust platform where people can actually not only join but also when they can be set for success. And that's where the whole process, I'll be putting a lot of emphasis on the pre-work, on the groundwork, what we do in terms of our hiring strategy while we are planning, while we are scoping itself, what kind of work goes behind the curtain in order to make sure. So I'll be spending a lot of time on that, and I truly believe that creating the right foundation is the key to that. After that, it comes that how it goes to once you have created the right culture. I do believe that HR plays a role of a catalyst, and how we can help our leadership team to change the mindset, to influence the mindset, and make sure that people are really motivated and committed, to make sure that people whom they hire under their team, they are equally invested to make them successful. So that is the second part. I'm going to talk about that, what we did it, and I'll also like to share other success stories, what we have seen at our places, and would like to contribute to on that aspect, what we did on that. And the last part is ultimately, once we have these two things right, the last part is basically just like, no, only thing I have on that slide is just to show the data, that now what happened based on these two main parameters. So I'll be focusing more on first and second part, how we did it, and then what was the outcome. Just share our ROIs, or what were the business outcomes based on that. Okay. Now before I jump to this agenda, just wanted to get any feedback, anything from anybody, and please feel free to use the chat window for that. Anything you would like to add me anything else, or just let me know anything. If you would like me to cover anything, feel free to let me know. Okay. All righty. I'm going to let it build the slide, and going to talk about what kind of fundamental work what we put it when we are getting ready for millennials and hiring the Gen Zs. One of the things what we have noticed always, that it starts from within. It starts from that whether the whole leadership, whether the leadership starting from our executive team to the first level managers, or to the people who are working at the ground, are everybody ready to make sure that we hire the right candidate, we hire the right talent in our culture, and how we make sure that they are successful. So these are the 5 things what we consider as a pillars of our culture or our philosophy, to make sure that we have the right mindset basically. I'm going to let you read about the slide, but I'm going to talk more about that, what it exactly mean in our context, what we did, for example, for the culture of ownership. One of the things what we have noticed especially, this is true for any kind of demography, not just limited to millennial or Gen Z, but we have seen this one of the very, very important motivator for millennials and Gen Z. So from the starting process, from the hiring process itself, right? When we are making sure that we are going to be hiring this group of millennials or Gen Zs, the very first point starts with the point of sourcing itself, right? So we are making sure that we are having where we are sourcing is very, very important, and that's where we nowadays definitely people are going beyond job boards or also LinkedIn, but our approach has been even further. So we are into data and analytics. If I talk about Saama, we specifically have around, right now we are around 1,500 people. A year and a half back, we were around 1,100 people. We have a presence we are based in Campbell. Saama is headquarters at Campbell in California. We do have offices in India. We have Pune and Chennai. We have on UK as well as Switzerland, and US. We are also have another offices in New Jersey, Ohio, and Arizona. Now, when we are making sure that first of all, we made sure that this becomes a global push or a global approach, and not just limited to headquarters. So that was our very first starting point in order to make sure that we own this, have this own of this. If this objective as a leadership team, everybody, each office, every place, we own it. So if I talk about the sourcing, we started that approach in reaching out to the different pods, be it since we are into data and analytics, giving that data and analytics example, we reached out to different educational institute at each of the locations, be it here in Ohio, Arizona, New Jersey, California, Chennai, all these places. We started reaching out with that, making sure that we have the right kind of talent, and not just not going beyond the campus recruitment, right? Making sure that we involve these people, not just we go off one day for the campus recruitment and we hire them, but we started involving them in a much earlier in the process. And that comes the sourcing part kind of thing. So the ownership was not limited only to the recruiters, like giving a call and making sure that no people come, but the ownership was already by all the leadership members at all the locations, and making sure that these people come very prepared when they are having interaction with the campus. So one of the example I'll give you, and we are very very big on that. We started running hackathons with in coordination with different universities and the educational institutes. Now what happens in during that, how it is different from just doing a LinkedIn sourcing or just like doing a campus recruitment. We connect with them on an intellectual basis as very early in the process, and that's what has been our one of the key hiring point, especially when people are in that they're about to complete their graduation, maybe even 1 year or 2 year away kind of thing. We start involving them for arranging the hackathon. They participate in our hackathon, and we run this hackathon in conjunction with the education institute and universities, and they have a chance to show their caliber, they have a chance to show their talent. So they are pretty excited about what outcome they are getting from the hackathon, and that way we get the real experience and real taste to what kind of talent what we are getting. And the most important part on the ownership was the whole ownership was at a leadership level. Let's say it's not limited to one recruiter. If this particular team is hiring, that particular team will have taken ownership of running the whole hackathon. So that was the sourcing example I can give it on the ownership level. Culture of excellence. Another example I can talk about, which was specifically targeted to millennials and Gen Zs, right? What we did, right? So we wanted to make sure that people whom we hire, they are also equally excited about Saama, what we do, what we stand for. Now, how do we do that, right? So what we started is when we started connecting with them and building the database much before they are even coming out from their college or their postgraduate. Some of them are some Gen Zs were coming out of the college, some millennials had several years of experience. We started connecting with them at a different again in our example, since we are into data and analytics, the example would be different kind of tech forums. We started connecting with them and making sure that they just come to know there is no hiring push here, just letting them know. We invite them to our different offices, our global offices, and we also let them know that, hey, this is what the culture is. So we started arranging those tours. We started connecting participation in those networks and making sure that, no, this is what we do. One of the things I have, this is my personal observation, as well as I'm sure a lot of people would have also seen in different kind of forums, right? Or the articles kind of thing. Millennials and Gen Zs, everybody is very, very interested, but especially this group is extremely interested in giving something back to the society. And that has been one of our core value as well. So we wanted to highlight that. We wanted to make sure that people understands our value if they are joining Saama tomorrow. And that really worked out very well in terms of making sure that we build the connection at the right place and show that the culture of excellence, the kind of how we treat employees, how we treat our customers, how do we execute our plans, what kind of social responsibility programs what we are having, and also making sure that people get a part of that. And that really panned out so well in terms of the overall schema of the things, that people were very excited knowing that they already know the company and the culture, what they're joining for kind of thing. So that's an example I wanted to share on the excellence side. And I can talk couple actually several examples on the innovation side and professionalism side. Pretty much that, as I was mentioning earlier, in the after sourcing, when we start putting our strategies for the growth and planning, we wanted to make sure that we get the right people. The whole our company, if I talk about our organization, if I talk about that, we are based on our another core value, which is culture of innovation, right? The whole idea, and I'm pretty much like, no, the kind of innovations and kind of change in the technology, what is happening in especially in our kind of setup, technology sector I'm talking about, it's just phenomenal. So what happens here is that we want to make sure that no, we also connect with people. Those are again have the similar kind of mindset and basically the right kind of talent what we are looking for, and people also feel that when they are joining Saama. So what we did it in terms of our hiring process itself, in terms of, so we spoke about the sourcing part in terms of like no culture of ownership, in terms of culture of excellence, the kind of approach what we have taken in the past. If I talk about innovation, that came exactly very coincided with our approach in how we do the whole selection process. Example what I can share on this one, when we talk about the selection process, we wanted to make sure that the whole leadership team was equipped with kind of questions, not talking about, I mean, we are talking about millennials and Gen Zs, right? So not talking about their cookie cutter approach in terms of like, okay, how much, what is the professional qualification? No doubt that plays a very important role, because people in this group, people may not have a, like no very big history of a past proven record or experience. But definitely what we wanted to focus is that know what kind of attitude people are coming with. Are they looking for the challenges? Because the work culture what we have it here is full of challenges. People, do they get a kick in doing something, creating something new? Do they get really invested and interested in being a part of something big, making an impact to the society? So that's how the whole the selection process or the screening process was. After the sourcing, the screening process was built on those bases, and making sure that the questions what we ask, the aspects what we examine, the kind of validation what we get, those are all based on making sure that no people are really invested and interested in innovation, and also they really want to do something for the society and want to be a part of something big. And that's a whole how we took the innovation approach on that side kind of thing. Ultimately, we believe that all these things what we do in the very starting of the process, from screening to the the sourcing, as well as all the part what plays into the culture of that, those really helped us very well, because we were getting somebody who is already connected with us, who is already invested in us, and who really wants to be part of that. So that really worked out very well. I just wanted to see if there are any questions, comments so far. Anything you would like to share before I go to the next one?
We do have one question here. Up, here you go. So, and I think you touched on this a little bit, but just we hear that Gen Z and millennials are purpose driven. Do you see that in the job search as part of the criteria, I guess, when they're talking to you? And what are some very effective ways that you've been able to communicate your purpose?
Absolutely. Great question, Linda. Thanks for bringing it up. We definitely see that time and over again and again. When we talk about purpose driven, and I can give you several examples on that. Recently, actually, last year, Saama contributed heavily in Pfizer's COVID vaccine, which came out in the market. We were able to, with our data and analytics solution, LSEC, Life Science Analytics Cloud, we were able to provide that solution to Pfizer, and the COVID vaccine, which we are into clinical trials phase, right? So our software solutions are based on accelerating clinical trial phase, and that way, saving the time. And of course, time and cost, in order to get the product early in the market, the medicine early to the market, the treatment early to the market. So our solution helped Pfizer to save 1 month of the entire time, and that's huge, considering that a number of people were suffering from that, number of lives were at stake, and unfortunately all the deaths what we had it. So that one thing, Linda, as I was mentioning, that no, like no, being purpose driven, right? Here that is one example I would like to share, that when people are working for something bigger than life, something like no, contributing to the society, and being a part of the team where you are able to bring the clinical trial accelerated, and making sure that no, the medicine comes, the treatment, COVID vaccine comes 1 month early in saving the overall time. That's a huge thing. And this is one thing what we have been answer the second part of the question, that no, what are the effective ways. So anytime when we definitely see that purpose driven attitude in all the millennials and Gen Z's, most of them. And that doesn't mean that no other generations do not have it, other demographic also have it, but this is more of a unique characteristic, I would call it, on that side. We also see that how we make sure, what are the effective ways, the second part of the question is always comes that no, making sure that we let people know what they are working on. So one example I would share it, that no, it's like no, building a cathedral story, right? So if, let's say, unless we tell people that are they just putting a brick, that yes, maybe that person might be motivated a bit in terms of, okay, this is work I need to do, I need to just put a brick, versus telling somebody that, hey, you need to build a wall, and then they will know at least some bigger picture, but versus the telling them that, hey, you are building a cathedral. And I think that's where I would call it the effectiveness of our as an organization, or for any organization which will come, that once we provide them, hey, what is the purpose of this, you are being a part of this, you are being able to contribute to the society in terms of getting cure early. And that has been our one of the main philosophy as well as approach, that making sure we have a full transparency in terms of our processes, in terms of what people are expecting and what they are doing, how they are going to contribute, and what impact it is going to create. So that has been one of the very very big aspect in terms of our communication strategies, as well as how we execute our projects, how we have that regular communication with the employees, as well as making sure that they know the impact.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you. All righty. So I'm going to go for the next one right now. So here I wanted to share one more example on that side. After that, we spoke about the screening process and the hiring process. Now, how exactly it translates once making sure that once employees are part of this kind of thing, what kind of let's say if they are in the interview process, once they are coming back from the interview process, making sure that no kind of feedback what we receive, that is also aligned with making sure that people are just trying to understand early signs kind of thing. We truly believe that if there are people who are aligned to your vision, people are really committed as far as they find the right mix. As a core, we do not believe that people, that's a typical workplace, people, okay, hey, people are not interested to work, they are coming late, lazy kind of things. We don't believe that unless people do not have the right motivation. So that's what we try to see in our whole interview process, in terms of the hiring process, that making sure that are these people, it's not that fundamentally inherent people do not want to work. It is basically people may not have the right environment, people may not have the right kind of instruction, right kind of clarity, or right kind of purpose explained to them. So how do we do that? I'll talk about the interview process. How do we do that, Unkind? So we focus very, very, actually a great focus we put it on, great emphasis we put it in terms of when the hiring process, interview process is going on, trying to get the clues that is this person gets excited once that person understands that what that person is, he or she is required to do. So that has been our focus on the interview. For example, we do not focus on when people say, okay, this is something, when we talk about the very typical interview questions, strength and weaknesses, right? I mean, almost most of the companies would have it kind of thing. we do not focus in terms of when people say in terms of their weaknesses. We do not focus in terms of what they are saying. We are just trying to understand that now how people are able to turn around in terms of once we provide, let's say somebody might have a bad grades. If you talk about the Gen Zs, who's somebody coming directly from the college, right? Or even millennials with maybe not a very shining career path kind of thing for, let's say, first few years kind of things. We do not focus on that. We just try to understand what were the reasons, and that has been our focus when we are hiring millennials and Gen Zs, and trying sure that whether that person was, we try to explore more about the real life examples. What exactly happened when somebody said that okay, they were not able to perform, maybe they got bad grades, they got like no C's, for example. They did not even get a B on, they may not have a career. What exactly was the issue? And after that issue, if we remove that issue out of their environment, or if we do not have that one, are people really interested to perform? So that is our interview focus, rather than like no people, even people say that no, yes, I did not study, we are okay with that. We just want to understand that no, what were the reason I did not study kind of thing. That does not, somebody saying that no, they made mistake in the past, or they like, we had actually, by the way, when you hire this millennials and Gen Z is a very common thing, right? Like no, that many people do not have that kind of spectacular like no grades, and which we are okay with that. As far as we understand that no, we provide them a real life situation, we provide them the problem, we provide them the solution. Are they able to demonstrate that they are really excited to work on that? Are they trying to find the solution? Are they able to? And that's why we focus a lot on in terms of not just like no checking their past credentials, but giving them the like no coding, for example, to work on that side. And that also, we also want to make sure that no, it's not something again cookie cutter from like no writing a C++ code or a Java code kind of thing, but providing a solution and providing a like no, this is the solution, we need to get it, and what kind of path they take it. So the journey, how they come up with we do not even look for the exact code. What we look for is that person excited to figure out, or is person trying to make sure. So that's how we have always focus on our our interview process, in terms of making sure that know what kind of ownership they take it, and what kind of self motivation they have it, in terms of making sure people have the right culture. The next one I wanted to talk about in terms of what we do after the interview process, what we exactly do when we talk about selecting the right candidate, right? So we spoke about the sourcing, we spoke about how do we source at the different places, we spoke about the screening process, interview process, now the selection. And that's where the excellence plays a major role when we talk about the selection. Now, selection, when I talk about the final selection, we definitely have a very high criteria in terms of the kind of talent, what we actually select, what people actually come to the board. And that's where we make sure that no, doesn't matter what is there, what they have done so far, are they fully committed, totally invested to make sure they are selecting that. If let's say if there is if people are still having some doubt, we will rather choose the next person versus that no person who is coming on the top. And that's why we make sure that no, we get the right culture, right process in our culture. We spoke about professionalism, making sure that no people also when we hire millennials and Gen Zs, want to make sure that we provide them the right platform, but at the same time, it is equally important that people who are the existing employees or existing people, the leadership team, they also exhibit the right culture from the starting point itself. So that goes all the way from the recruiting, when people are already meeting them in terms of different occasions, like for the interview process, for the pre-hiring process, once the offer letter is accepted and they have not joined, so be it the leadership team, be it the recruitment team, be it the HR business partners, making sure that we exhibit the right culture and making sure that people are the entire process, from sourcing to the interview process to the hiring process, they have something to fall back and something to look upon in what kind of culture they are looking for. Because unless we exhibit the same culture, we cannot expect the same kind of culture would be there from the opposite side. So we always make sure that we have the right culture, making sure people have that. And the last one I wanted to talk about on the innovation side, once people come on the board, very first thing first. So we spoke about that pre-hiring process, when people are like have they accepted the offer letter and they join. And now I'm talking about the first 90 days plan, the overall assimilation plan. On this plan, we focus a lot in terms of how people get really motivated to make sure that they are here to be being part of something big. Like, no, they are here to innovate, they are here to provide the right exposure, and also get the right exposure and also get the right platform. So for first 90 days when they join, we emphasis very heavy on their making sure that they get the right kind of onboarding, they get right kind of know-how in terms of what are our tools, what are our technologies, what are our methodologies, what kind of project we had, what kind of our own internal data bank. Like, people are able to see that these are our success stories, how other people have in the past have innovated, and how they have gone through their own career path, making sure that they have the connection with not only just the like immediate manager, but also connection with their colleagues, and also the interdepartment connections, as well as like HR business partner is always helping on that side. So making sure they participate in all our different, let's say, again, I'm giving my since we are in technology, giving a technology example, but we have let's say, for example, we have different programs, like we have our internal tech talks. That means every week people will talk about what kind of work they have done, and they would share with everybody. So we try to get them involved from their onboarding itself. Is there anything you would like to share? We would like to learn from you. And that really motivates people a lot, because people are just coming out of the college, or with some year of experience, but getting that platform, and they are teaching us. It's not that there is like one way traffic where they like, okay, you get all this knowledge, but we want to learn from you. And we really believe that, because this group brings a lot of flutter, they brings a lot of energy, they have a lot of new ideas, and we want to learn from that. So that is one example, the tech talk. We involve them into tech talk, and like, hey, we would like to learn your ideas. Is there anything we can make a prototype idea? Can we file a patent? And I can go on and on this topic. We have multiple people who joined as our new college grads, or especially we are the demography what we are talking about today, the topic of today, millennials and Gen Zs. They have done wonderful work, innovative work in first 2 years at Saama, because they get the right motivation, and they actually we learn from them, and we also make sure that they learn from each other. So that has been one of the key factor on that one. So that was the last one I want to talk about on the culture part. And then the second part I wanted to get a segue from the innovation is about influencing leadership mindset. Now, the process starts from the sourcing itself, but it continues till their onboarding and beyond. How do we do that? Now, this is one of the very important things, that making sure. So, by the way, we do take care of all these things in the hiring process itself. For example, like we make sure that people are ready to accept the diversity, and not only just accept diversity, because there's no quota driven approach here, that hey, you need to hire that. No, they are supposed to do it because that's the right thing to do, and not because my management is saying or my HR is saying, kind of thing. Making sure that we always stay diverse in terms of our demography, and that's something has to come from within. I truly believe that, and we practice that in reality. Now, how do we do that, right? So we make sure that when people are getting into the lead, I'm talking about the leadership team now, right now. So when we make sure that people are always not only invested, but we encourage them to ask questions, that why it is required. In the starting of that, when we do this, training on diversity or kind of thing, it's very common to get those questions that, no, why do we need to do that, right? And we let them argue that because we want to change their mindset. We do not want to put something if they do not believe in that, right? Because it would never be successful otherwise. So we do all those procedural things from the like our, let's say for example, we are using this applicant tracking system. So we make sure that now we make our resumes gender neutral. We make our process, we do not share that no names and ethnicity, to make sure that no there is unbiased screening and opportunity. So all those procedural things we do, but in addition to those procedural stuff, we want to make sure that no employees the leadership mindset itself is really invested to do the right thing. So here, as I was mentioning earlier on that one, how do we get success on that, right? So when we had a more than, and I'll talk about in the next slide also, but when we had a more than 35% growth, we wanted to make sure that this does not happen just because that, okay, you need to hire a diversity or we need to get this group or that particular group. It has to come from within, and they need to realize the value, what kind of energy they are bringing, what kind of value they are bringing, and how all of us we can learn from each other. So that has been always our mind, our approach in making sure that we influence leadership mindset and not just let them know, oh, you need to hire that on that side. So that has been our philosophy on inclusion. And this one I wanted to talk about the ROIs on that side, what we achieved out of this approach, right? So here we'll talk about, as you can see, we were 1,100 people right before the pandemic. Now, this is something, as I was mentioning earlier also, this growth for us happened during pandemic. We have been really fortunate that we really did not have to let go any people, but at the same time, we were growing and flourishing. Globally, we went from 1,100 to 1,500 Saamites today. And this is all across the pandemic in last 18 months. How did we achieve this growth was based on that connection and based on that groundwork, what we are doing from the sourcing process to the interview process, to also making sure that we are approaching the right venue, right platform, and providing them the right platform. We still continue to have the same aggressive growth plans for 2022. Now, and this is something, and before I open for a Q&A, would like to put one last point. This process is a continuous process. This is not something that you do it once and you are done. No, it has to be continuous, ongoing process to make sure, because we are still hiring, right? Or there would be still always people still joining. There would be people who are having their career over here. So truly believe that this process has to again keep on going, and we can never be satisfied that, okay, we did it. We need to have a relentless enthusiasm to be invested in the process and making sure that people have the right kind of mindset. Especially the leadership team plays a very important role, and HR is a catalyst. Want to make sure that we have the right mindset from all our leaders globally, and that has been our ROI or business outcome out of this whole process. So just wanted to share my story at Saama, and would love to get any questions, Q&A from you.
Thanks so much, Nirali. We do have another question that came in. Give me one second.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So this one, how do we better our job postings to include our company culture? Great question.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we have been using is, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go to the screen on that one. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yes. Yeah. So one of the things what we have been using for our company, I would love to share with you that we start this process very early in terms of, let's say, first of all, we work with marketing in terms of making sure that we have the right kind of presentation. And I think this is very, very important. This is something we have learned over the time, making sure, it's very, very important to project not just externally but also internally. So and that includes actually employment branding, right? So we definitely on we HR, we have in our team, I have one of 4% in my team who works closely, very closely with a marketing team in making sure that all our job boards where we have the right kind of message in terms of many I have seen in many companies, and we have learned from, I'm sharing all my own experience here, we have also learned that many time marketing remains very focused to the external customer marketing, which is equally important because employees are equally important with customers, right? I mean, you can never say, okay, who is more important, right? So that's why it is very, very important that we get the right message, all not only to our customers but also to our employees. So we have a special dedicated person in the team. I mean, not that person as one of the duty, of course other duties are there, but one of the duties is just closely work with marketing and continuously replicating the right message for our job postings, which shows the culture, which shows the right kind of approach what we are doing. It's not, and it's, by the way, it is not about anything which is not putting any exaggeration. It is just the right message what we are showing to our customers. Our employees or prospective employees also should know it. So we have, so that has been, and that mechanism has, like I was saying, it was even we learned by experience that we are not doing a great job on the employment branding. We are only focused on customer, and we started this, and that has been working really well. That one person continuously making sure that coordinates with marketing and constantly keep on updating to make sure this is our company culture and what we are doing. So would love to share with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, we're just about at time. So thank you so much for being with us here in Nirali and for sharing all of those ideas and insights and just the experiences you had at Saama. And congratulations on that growth, by the way. And I know other exciting things have been happening for Saama as well. So congratulations on all of that. And for those of you who are continuing with us, we have our next session, which you won't want to miss, where Nicole Parrish of Qualtrics and Sean Scott of By Senior Living are going to talk about how they've managed to scale their employer brand by leveraging employees as brand ambassadors. So with that, we will see you here in just another minute. Thank you so much, Nirali.